make Indian bread, which was a new experience for quite a few people. We'd never been able to taste any original Indian cooking like this. See, the committee also helps relay ideas that other people in the community have had. If someone has an idea or doesn't like something in the program, I think a lot of times they feel freer coming to another parent and telling them about it than they would be going to the administration office and saying, we'd like to see this done. Instead, they'll come to us and then we can relay it to them.
And all our meetings are open to the public, so sometimes they'll feel more like coming to one of our meetings and just sitting back and viewing what's going on. And then they'll be more likely to make more comments.
What sorts of activities have you gotten into to acquaint the public more about what's going on in the program? Have you got anything planned along those lines? A fair, maybe, or a demonstration or something?
We will be planning a cultural event in the next month or two, but we haven't started on one for this year yet. Our funding was late coming, so therefore our cultural events are going to be a little later this year than usual.
So on the whole, you'd say that you think this is a successful program. What do either of you ever work in the classroom, say as assistants to the teachers or anything of that nature?
No, the classrooms are open to us, and we all hope to participate in the classrooms. And we will all be participating in the cultural events. For the Spanish people, I imagine that they'll do a lot of Spanish cooking, and they'll have their dances, whereas the Indians will have a lot of the cooking, a lot of the berries and roots, and they'll offer fried bread, and then they'll do the war dances or the friendship dances, and it'll just acquaint everyone with what it's really like. And the Indians, they can act out the legends of their traditions. It's really interesting.
I have done some work in the classroom myself.
Start that
Okay.
again.
I have done some work in the classroom myself, and I think it's very good for children that are maybe a little bit bashful. They can learn things as it relates to them. I think the program helps the children understand each other better.
Just start the recorder again. I want to ask you a question about that. Tell me a little bit about the makeup of the Parent Advisory Committee and what it does.
Okay, we have a 9-member committee. We have 3 Anglo parents, 3 Indian parents, and 3 Spanish parents. Then we have 3 students from the high school that are interested in education. There is one of each of the 3, the Anglo, the English, and the Spanish students also. See what else? I forgot what I was going to...
What does the committee do? In other words, how does it impact, how does it affect the way the program is run?
When the proposal is drawn up each year, we read through the proposal. If there are any additions or corrections or things that we'd like changed, we let it be known. And in a lot of cases, we have come up with some real good ideas that have been incorporated into the program.
Most of us who are on the board, well, we work, and so these meetings in the evening are the only time we can really get together. And so far we've had a representative from the Reading Center from Lincoln School, and we're going to have a representative from the Math Center in our next meeting. And I think we'll learn. We were really pleased with what we learned from the Reading Center. I'm sure we will be with the Math Center too.
Our parents on the committee also represent other organizations in the community. The Scouts, we're involved in Scouting, we're involved in Lions Club, all these other different organizations, so we get feedback from them also with the other organizations that we're involved in the community. So it kind of makes a wider base for this project. More people know about it with the parents being involved. It's not just a group of educators. They're not the only one that knows what's going on and what's happening. The whole community knows.
Let me ask you one question. You may have already answered this. How are you selected to be on this committee?
At the beginning of the year, there's a form sent out to all parents asking them if they would like to serve on the committee, and then from here, personal contact is usually made from the Fred Diaz's office, and asking them if they have the time, if they would be willing to help. People that don't have the time to come to the meetings every month, lots of times we use them with cultural events. They help plan these things. We use everyone that is willing to help. We find a place for them to help.
I'd like to ask each of you, as mothers of children in the program, just to tell us what you think the value of the program has been to your child. And we'll start with you.
Well, I think my children have learned more about the other cultures. They know more about the people around them. They know more about the valley that we live in. I think the more they know about people in general, the better adult they're going to be. They're bound to be better adjusted, and I think it's just been great for them and for my husband and I also.
Now,
Second.
okay.
Okay. Go ahead.
For my children, I know that they've benefited from the program. They're a lot more interested in their studies at school because now they know that their heritage is really part of history. So now they really get absorbed in the history books and the social studies and just learning more about our area as much as possible. They're really interested in like Mount Adams, and they knew the traditional values of Mount Adams before, but now they want to know what else went on at Mount Adams, and like Chief Kamiakin, they want to learn more about Chief Kamiakin.
My children, in a traditional classroom, they would have never been exposed to any of these things, and they're an important part of growing up here. And in a traditional classroom, they probably would have never known that Mount Adams had any special meaning behind it, that there were special things that happened there.
And for my children, we're descendants of Sitting Bull, and now they can't wait to go back to South Dakota to see all our relatives, and we're going to take them through the Badlands and the Black Hills, and they're going to, I'm sure they're going to benefit from it, educational-wise as well as cultural.
Okay. All right, Esther, if you'll just introduce yourself
Okay.
and then stop, and then I'll ask you a question.
I'm Esther Davis, coordinator for Tribal Home Base.
Okay, Esther, I'd like to know how the program got started in terms of the need that you saw and also in terms of the funding of the program. You speak directly to me behind the camera.
Okay. I wasn't in on the original needs assessment for this, but one of the tribal councilmen felt there was a need, a very, very strong need for it. Violet Rao, my supervisor, felt there was, and one other person whom I don't know their name, felt that home-based program would be a very, very good program to have on the reservation because it would reach a lot of young parents, for one thing, and all 4-year-old children, and we come to the conclusion that we were going to take care of anyone who is in that home, no matter what their age is. We're a totally tribally funded program. There are no federal funds involved in this program whatsoever, although we are going to look for other funding so we can expand. This is a reservation program. We go to White Swan, the Sadis area, and the Toppenish area. We don't go to Wapato because they have their own program under ERD. When we apply for more funds or get refunded through the tribe, we are going to try to include the Georgeville area in Goldendale. We employ 5 teachers and myself, and these teachers go into the home 1 hour a week for 1 day, and always at the same time. Then we bring the children into a classroom at the resource center for 2 hours every Friday. But we always involve parents in everything. If the parents can't bring them in, so far we have not gone out and picked up the children and brought them in. We're trying to really encourage parents to do this for their children. And then when they come in on Fridays, we do things that include parents. First of all, our original idea was that we were going to do some parent teaching. And then we found that parents were so involved with their children and what they were doing in that classroom that we didn't have to do it. And so then we did talk to parents and question them and ask them if they felt they had a need. Now, some parents think that they'd like to know a little bit more about what their child should be able to do at a certain age, or what their baby will have to be able to do, and things like this. So we are developing some of those kind of things, and we will have some parent training for that.
Tell me a little bit about your teachers. Who are they, where do they come from, and what are their qualifications?
Our teachers are all fairly young Indian ladies, have all been in Head Start and got some really good training through that program, are all juniors at Eastern College from Cheney, go to a class every Friday. Some go on Thursdays. One teacher takes a class on Tuesday and part of a class on Thursday. All have been well trained in preschool things.
Tell me about the materials that you use and how these materials, say, relate to the cultural history and background of the tribal people that you serve.
Our materials are mostly all materials that our teachers make. We do have some bought things, of course. Everything is really culturally related. We, like you say, we have a matching game, or a lotto game, or numbers. We would have number 1 would be 1 teepee, number 2 is 2 teepees, or bear tracks, or eagles, or anything like that. It's just our curriculum consists mostly of culturally based things.
What sort of advantage do you think it is to an Indian child to receive training or to receive education, and not only the child but to the parents as well, to be dealt with in terms of materials that are related to his or her culture?
Well, I think they relate. They can relate really well. Because I'll take an example of a little child in White Swan. I was teaching her an individual thing. She didn't know circles, and those kinds of things. So I put a picture of a circle in front. Well, it was a circle I put in front of her, and I said, "What is this? Can you tell me what this is?" She said, "That's the moon." I put a triangle in front of her, and she said, "Oh, that's a teepee." So they knew what they were talking about. She wasn't a little dummy. She knew what was going on. But she had come from, a grandmother had been in her grandmother's home all the time. Evidently they were doing beadwork or things like this, and they were talking about these kind of things. When we do the Indian language on Fridays with the group, the kids really like that. They really do. And you would say, well, 4-year-old kids aren't that smart, but they are. They really are. Even 3-year-olds are. And I'll tell you something else that's very funny. We have, the Resource Center has a person there who makes lots of things for us to use, and it's all culturally based. And so we get those things out. See, we arrange our rooms like an open classroom, just like they would go into when they're going to kindergarten. And then we bought a lot of things, too. And it never fails that every Friday when those kids come in there, they go to those things that were made by Peter, and the other things fall by the wayside. Anything that's related to anything cultural, they just go right to it and they really enjoy it.
What has been the acceptance on the part of the tribe, of the Indian community, of this particular program, and what effects do you think that might have with adult Indian people as well as with the children themselves?
Well, you know yourself that if the tribe hadn't accepted it and hadn't thought it was a good thing, it wouldn't be tribally funded to start out with. And the second thing is that really the program is geared to parents instead of little children, really. And then another service that we have in our program is that we're kind of liaison between all tribal programs and not only home base, so that then we can report to parents or tell parents what's going on, And a lot of parents don't know what's going on. In fact, until we had our in-service training, there were some programs I really didn't know that were that were available to all the Indian parents on the reservation. A lot of people need to have, well, where can I look for a job? We need emergency food. We even have emergency housing, which I didn't know we had before. In fact, 2 or 3 houses up in White Swan and down at Apis Gowdy and Wapato. Those are 2 or 3 houses that are there for parents who would have that need. Public health, maternal child, adult education. A lot of people don't have GEDs, and they say, well, gee, I don't have a GED, I can't get a job. So we'll just say, well, we have a good program for that, and we'll let you know about it. We'll give you all the information. Driver's ed, handicapped children, and we run into handicapped children whose parents don't, and I'm talking about handicapped, not labeling children as handicapped. That isn't what I meant really, is they have maybe a learning disability or something like that. And so we have a program called Project Politician that picks all those kids up. If they are really badly handicapped, then we know the resources to send them to for where they can get their help.
Now, this program has been in being for how long?
Just since August.
Okay, and what sort of interface do you have with the public schools in terms of trying to provide the kinds of learning experiences for the children that will equip them better in public schools?
Well, we haven't done too much with that, but we are going to. I'm going to a meeting this afternoon which is going to really talk about that need and the kinds of things. We're just going to brainstorm and see what kinds of things we can do. I think that children who are going, well, I know one of the things we talked about last week was that the home-based teacher will take this 5-year-old that she has been teaching since he was 4. She will take him to the public school, and the parent too, and she will introduce him to the kindergarten teachers there. She will show him a kindergarten classroom. She will talk about going to, the kids call it big school all the time, so they're going to go to the big school, ride the bus and all that kind of thing. But the thing of it is that we're going to have that parent see the interest that that child is going to have. We're going to let that teacher know that that parent is at least a little bit concerned. She wants to know what's going on. And so then maybe, hopefully, that the parent will follow through. And then we're going to keep track of that child ourselves from kindergarten to the 12th grade if necessary. If he's having some problems, we're going to be able to see through adult education. And I'm hoping that there's going to be some good tutoring programs coming through Johnson O'Malley and those kind of things, those different programs, so that we can pick up those little kids that are having some problems. And if need be, when you're his home-based teacher and he related real well to you, doesn't relate to this other teacher, and he needs some help, she can go there and do something with him. She can help him. And we've talked to the teachers in the program, and they're all for it. They really want to do it.
Could you just summarize briefly what you think the effect of home base is on the family unit as a whole, not just the kid, not just the parent, but the family unit?
I think it's very effective.
Tell me, say I think the effect of the home-based program is very effective.
Okay, I think the effect of the home-based program is very effective. For one thing, if a teacher doesn't go make her appointment, doesn't make her home call, her home visit this 1 week, which happens sometimes, the parents are concerned enough that they call and find out, well, what's happening? What is going on? How come she isn't here? Will she be here next week? Then we can. I always ask, would you like us to pick it up with another teacher? They say no. We'd rather have our own teacher. And that's something else too that I didn't say anything about a while ago. Those kids talk about their own teachers, and they're very, very jealous of their teacher with the rest of their family. When we go into the home, we leave a task, and the first thing is that we do it with the child, and then we show the parent how to do it. Then we observe while the parent does it with the child. We leave that there, hoping that the parent will do something during the week. And then when we go back in the following week, we just a very small test. Teacher knows how to test. So she can tell just by talking to the child whether his mother's been doing anything with him or not. And that way we're really getting the parent interested, so that we know that when that child is going to go into public school, that parent's going to have a little concern about when that child brings something home, well, maybe I can help you with it, or what are you doing, or feel proud enough to put it up on the wall. And say that's, don't say what is it, I sure like that one, then you can tell me what it is. That kind of thing.
How did you get into the home-based program?
Well, it's a long story, and whether you want to hear it or not.
Okay.
I used to have a business of my own, and we sold it. My husband's been in BIA all his years. And I was without a job, and Head Start had just been funded. And they were I was drawing unemployment compensation, and after we sold our business. And I had worked here at the furniture factory as a cook for 1 year. That's what my thing is, being basically a long time ago as a cook. And so I saw this, when I went to sign up for my unemployment, they said that there was this position was open, and I said, well, ordinarily tribal programs hire only tribal people. He said, well, you have to apply anyhow. So I applied, and at that time Stanley Smartlowit was alive then, and he was on the education committee, and he hired me. That was 10 years ago. I started as part-time cook in Head Start and graduated to full-time cook and doing all the menus and everything for 6 years. Then I was given the opportunity to be a Head Start director for the Topnish program, and I was that for 3 years, and then in August Violet Rao offered me this home base, and so I took that. I was education coordinator for 1 year too for Head Start.
In the meantime, you picked up a degree
And in the meantime, I picked up a degree in Bachelor of Arts in Elementary Education and Child Psychology.
Good. Can you think of any other questions? I think that's fine.
Well, I sure did a lot of talking.